All right, good morning. We're so grateful that you are here this morning and taking the time to learn more about our exemplary school here at Charlotte Prep. My name is Vicki Wilkeson. I'm the Director of Enrollment here, and I'm going to be helping you learn more about the school, introducing you to some of our panelists here today. But our goal today is that you can leave with a pretty good overview of who we are. You can get to know some of the team that lead Charlotte Prep, and that you'll discover that we are passionate about learning, and we are passionate about partnering with you parents to really raise the next generation of thoughtful and kind leaders. So today I'm going to introduce our panelists, and then we'll share a video that's very specific to our lower school through middle school program here, which serves ages 5 to about 14 when they graduate from Charlotte Prep. And then our panelists will respond to some of your questions. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce our panelists today. I'm going to start with Wendy Teal. And Wendy is one of our wonderful parents here at Charlotte Prep. She has been here. Her two boys, Cameron and Cole, are in our middle school now, and they've been here since Cameron was in the early school at TK, and he is now an 8th grade student. And Wendy's been uber involved as the PA on the PA board, and we've just been so appreciative of her efforts. She also is the owner of Pediatric TheraPlay, which provides services to children, speech, occupational, and physical therapy to students in the Charlotte metro area. So Wendy, we're so grateful for your time this morning and for you being here. Our next panelist is Evan Kurtz. Evan is the head of our middle school, and he's a graduate of George Mason University and has his master's in educational leadership from the University of Pittsburgh. And he's got over 20 years in education, and he's always gravitated towards the middle school age, embracing their unique adolescent qualities. So Evan, thank you for being here this morning to talk a little bit about what happens in middle school. Our next panelist is Mimi McKeon. And Mimi is the head of our lower school. She's served here at Charlotte Prep for the past 9 years. Mimi has her BA in elementary education, her minor is in mathematics, and she has her master's in curriculum and instruction from Boston College. Her mindset is that if children are provided with the right learning opportunities, their natural curiosity and innate ability and desire for respect and order will facilitate the development of their fullest potential. So thank you, Mimi, for being with us this morning. Sharon Vanilla, I've asked her to join us as well. She's the head of our early school. We do have a program that starts at age 2 through age 5. Sharon has her BS in elementary education from Miami University, and her early childhood administration and Montessori early childhood credentials. And Sharon has over 25 years in education, with 15 of those being here at Charlotte Prep. And she believes that you meet each child where they are, give them the tools and the guidance to set their own path for learning. So thanks, Sharon, for being here. Sharina Mundodi is our Director of Community Life here at Charlotte Prep, and her role principally focuses on diversity and equity at Charlotte Prep. Sharina's working with constituents across our Charlotte Prep community to build better connections, improve cultural competency and inclusivity, and lean on our 4 pillars and mission to guide empathy, outreach, service, academics, and leadership. And her goal really is to prepare our community members to face the challenges and create impact in meaningful ways and equitable ways. So thank you, Sharina. Sahir Kahana works with me here in the admissions office, and together we are happy to shepherd you guys through the admissions process at Charlotte Prep. Sahir has her BA in economics from the University of Virginia, an MBA in Marketing and Strategic Management from the University of Pennsylvania, the Wharton School. And she's just a whole lot of fun, and she'll enjoy getting to meet you guys, talk to you about the school, give you tours, and she really enjoys working with families and sharing her insights. Her children have been here. Her youngest is still here as an 8th grader, but they started in the early school as well. So a wealth of information for you in Sahar. And then finally, our head of school, Chris Marblow. He is beginning his 18th year at pre-K through 8th grade schools. It is his first year here at Charlotte Prep, and we are so grateful for his leadership. And he is very happy to be here and be part of a school that's fully committed to ensuring each student is known, loved, and challenged. So without further ado, I'm going to turn it over a little bit to Chris, and he has a few sort of welcome remarks, and then we will share our video. Chris?
Thanks, Vicki. Good morning, everyone. Thanks for joining us. We're very happy to be talking with you today. As Vicki mentioned, this is my 18th year as a head of school in pre-K through 8th grade schools, and I'm fully committed to that model because I think it's the best setting for children to learn and prosper. And by that, I mean, we believe that childhood is the most important stage of the human lifespan. Once that foundation is set and set well, children thrive. And everything we do at our school, from the types of teachers we hire, to the way our facility is built, to the subjects we teach, to our schedule, is designed to give children what they need when they need it. And whether you begin with us as a 2-year-old or graduate as a 14-year-old, that continuum from 2 to 14 is childhood. And again, we are devoted to just that phase. What that means is that children in our school are given the conditions to once again thrive and prosper and to develop an amazing sense of confidence and capability. They are encouraged to lead. They are encouraged to participate. They are encouraged to have a voice. We know that each child is unique and valued, and we create the conditions where each child is given the attention and the challenge and the love to thrive, both as students and people. And the end result of all of this is that when our students leave us as 14-year-olds, they are very well prepared to then again thrive in high school and beyond that in college and life, because the foundation here was set so strongly. We welcome participation from our parents. We think the job of educating children is a joint venture between home and school. And we're a small school, so again, each child gets the attention that he or she needs. It really is an ideal setting for children, and we love what we do here and are excited to talk more about our school. And just to give you a better glimpse of what we're all about, I'm going to turn things back over to Vicki, and we're going to show you a video of us in action.
We're so grateful that you're taking this time to get to learn more about our school community. Our pre-K through 8th grade model is focused on childhood. Our early school serves ages 2 to 5, and our lower and middle school serve ages 5 to 14. We are research-based, success-oriented, but most of all, we're child-friendly. Our right-size school is not too big. Your child will not feel like they're stepping into an institution or on a university when they come on our campus. Our right-size school is not too small. We provide a robust and vibrant curriculum enhanced with specials like fine arts, sports, and STEM, to name a few. We believe we have created something uniquely special here in the Charlotte Independent School Market. We truly have the ability to know, love, and challenge your students. And we consider it a privilege to partner with you to raise the next generation of thoughtful and kind leaders. Next, you'll hear from some of our Tiger constituents, and we hope that's going to encourage you to reach out and connect with us individually so that you can learn even more about our special community. We are here to help. We hope you will apply, and we cannot wait to meet you.
At Charlotte Prep, our 4 pillars of respect, integrity, perseverance, and courage are reinforced by our commitment to community. Our Our One Prep community embraces and champions diversity, equity, and inclusion. And we are so proud to have a student body and a community that represents so many backgrounds, languages and cultures and learning approaches, perspectives and spirits, and we work really hard to affirm those identities.
So this is my 18th year as a head of school in a pre-K through 8th grade school, and I've always been attracted to that structure because I think it serves children best. And what I mean by that is that everything we do, from the way our school is designed to the types of teachers we hire, is designed to give children what they need when they need it. For example, two of the most important things that we balance in a pre-K through 8 school is academic challenge and nurturing support. And what I mean by nurturing support is that degree of warmth and love and being known and valued that is so critical for children. Without that, they will not thrive. And by academic support, I mean making sure the program is interesting, relevant, and meaningful to their lives now and in the future. And when you balance those two things, children take off and thrive. If you get that balance wrong, two things happen. The first is that you're too warm and nurturing without enough challenge. In that case, you leave learning on the table. In the second case, if you're not nurturing enough and you're just focused solely on challenge and rigor, students become stressed, and that's a terrible outcome because when you're stressed, you're not open to learning. What we like to do is make sure that that balance between nurturing support and a challenging program is struck for each and every child. And because we're a small school with a low student-teacher ratio, we can do that. One of the nice outcomes of our school is that not only are students prepared for entry into the best high schools, public schools, independent schools, boarding schools, but they also are super nice people. And that outcome, making sure we have great students connected to great people, is one of the hallmarks of the Charlotte Prep experience.
Hi everyone, my name is Mimi McKeon and I'm the head of the lower school here at Charlotte Preparatory School. Today I want to share with you just a little bit, give you a glimpse into our lower school and what it's all about. Our students here in the lower school begin at grade kindergarten and go all the way up through 4th grade. Our students build on those foundational early childhood skills and develop through concrete experiences all the way through abstract experiences and understandings. Our students are active learners and they really grow their curiosity here while they're in the lower school. A curiosity for learning that we think is important to creating lifelong learners. Students are supported in developing a positive sense of themselves. They become confident, responsible, and independent learners as we send them off to the middle school. In the lower school, our students engage in core subject work with homeroom teachers and specialty coursework with specialty area teachers. Our core subjects include math, literacy, which is reading and writing, language arts, which includes grammar and word study, science, social studies, and character and social emotional learning. Our specialty area classes include the fine arts, which is drama, art, music. It also includes PE and foreign language of Spanish, and then our science specialty area classes, which are STEM and technology. We use an instructional model here in the lower school called the workshop model. What this looks like is teachers will deliver a developmentally appropriate mini lesson with a targeted skill or strategy that's applicable to all of the learners in the classroom. Students then move on to what's called independent work time, and this is the busiest part of each workshop. Students will work with partners, students will work with a teacher in a small group, or participate in one-on-one conferences with the teacher. All of these learning opportunities allow the student to practice, refine, apply, and generalize the skills that they're learning in a way that is appropriate and applicable to them. Students also focus on developing their personal character through activities that will allow them to develop their growth mindset, to continue to show their 4 pillars of leadership that we celebrate here at Charlotte Prep, and really take ownership of their learning choices.
Hi, my name's Chris. I have 2 kids at Charlotte Prep. One's in 1st grade and one's in 2nd grade. And I think when we were deciding upon schools, there were probably just 2 or 3 things that were really important to us. Firstly, we quite liked the model, the kind of K through 8 model. And part of the reason for that is that I think it allows kids to be kids without all of the challenges perhaps that present themselves with a larger school and perhaps some of the older children. But the other reason around that is I think that the school does a really nice job of giving those children some responsibilities and opportunities earlier, and you can really see that as you go around the school. I think the school is a great size. I think being a slightly smaller school allows the teachers to really get to know the children as individuals, and I've certainly noticed that with our children.
Charlotte Prep strives to build intentional community, and I think that's really important. There are places where they're just trying to strive to build a community and we're all here together or what have you, but there are these 4 pillars at Prep that sort of weave through the community at large, not just the kids, but the parents and all of the programs and experiences that you will have here as well. So I've always appreciated the intentional approach and the nuanced approach to building a true community here at the school.
Hello, Evan Kurtz here. I'm head of the middle school at Charlotte Prep. Something we say about middle school is it's the place where you learn how to learn. Well, what does learning how to learn mean? Well, first, it starts with our strong academic program. English, math, science, Spanish, social studies. How these subjects work, how teachers dig in with students, hands-on work, really deep thinking work, students working with teachers, with each other, and on their own to get the most out of each and every subject. And also how these disciplines work together. We can discover how the book they're reading in English goes together with what they're studying in social studies, and frankly, maybe even do a science experiment about that. But students at Charlotte Prep in the middle school are more than their core subjects. They're artists, because they take art. They're comfortable on stage, because they take drama. They're musicians, because they play in the band, or their instrument is their voice in chorus. They, of course, are also athletes, whether it's in phys ed class or in one of the teams they can try out for. Our students in grades 5 through 8 are all on the same team. It's neat to watch older students mentor younger students as they come up through the years on the athletic teams. Students at Charlotte Prep are also challenged in technology class and also in leadership class. Leadership class is not only what it sounds like, where students learn about leadership from the outside as well as from the inside, but it also is the start of our high school process. Our Charlotte Prep graduates are going to make sure they go to their best fit high school. They explore all the schools around, and more importantly, they explore what's inside them to find that best fit. And our graduates go to the next place and thrive. We are constantly getting feedback from all of our intake schools about the ways that Charlotte Prep students are adding to their campus. Thank you for checking out Charlotte Prep Middle School. Have a great day.
I've made some of my happiest memories here, and I know that I'll never forget these. I remember one time when I was in 6th grade, it started raining unexpectedly, as it so often does here in Charlotte. Very few students had umbrellas, and we had to walk up to the cafeteria. But the ones who didn't have umbrellas just popped underneath whichever umbrella was closest to them, laughing briefly with us about the exciting chaos before moving on. It was clear through all this disarray that we were so much more than just a bunch of students at the same school. I know that even though this is hard to imagine during COVID and everything looks so different, this atmosphere and community is still living on.
This was the first building block to, the next step in life. And for me, it's just always been a blessing, especially with, the friends and the faculty here. Just doesn't matter who you are, your race, gender, religion, any of that. It doesn't matter. I mean, you're always accepted here, especially with all the people, the friends, and especially the food. It's definitely improved here, but it's just had a lasting impact on me. It's I've used some of these the things that I've learned here, especially with the 4 pillars, onto my high school life, and that's just been a blessing, and I can't thank Prep enough for doing everything.
Charlotte Prep for me has just been a place where I can really express myself and be myself and, feel comfortable around everybody and feel like I really have a place among these people. And I've been here since 5th grade, so each year I kind of just get to soak up more of the Charlotte Prep experience. And I'm in 8th grade now, so I'll be graduating this year, but these memories of Charlotte Prep will always stay with me. Wherever I go, I'll always remember Charlotte Prep and be like, yeah, that was a really great place. So If you want a place where you and your child can feel like part of the community and part of like a family with everybody here, then Charlotte Prep is a great place to be. I love this school.
But I want to kick off the conversation this morning to just hear from our division heads. And I want you to hear from them, the early school, the lower school, middle school, a little bit about the path for a Charlotte Prep student so that you can gain a little understanding of the prep effect here that we have on our children. So I'll start with Sharon Vanilla.
Good morning. Thank you for coming today. I'm the head of the early school, and we start with children ages 2 through kindergarten in a Montessori setting. We have 2 classrooms, which we call pre-primary, that consist of children ages 2 to 3, and that is the place where children start their career in school. They start to learn, make the transition from being babies to toddlers to preschoolers, and begin learning independence, vocabulary, and just a lot of self-confidence, along with fine motor skills and foundational skills. Then they transition to our primary classes. We have 4 classrooms of the primary cycle of Montessori, which is ages 3 through 6. So children could spend up to 3 years in those classrooms and then transition over to first grade and lower school. And because we have this option here at Charlotte Prep, the children could also transition over to kindergarten and lower school. So we have a couple of different choices there, and whichever way they go, they're fully prepared, because in the Montessori setting, the children are learning to be independent, they're laying their foundational academic skills, and they're developing the concentration and the confidence and the organization they're going to need as they transition over to the lower school. So if you have younger children, preschool age children, I'd love for you to come and see us, I'd be happy to answer any questions you might have about our Montessori early school.
Good morning, everybody. It's great to have you here. As Sharon mentioned, we have kids coming over from our early school into our lower school, and also from outside preschools coming in, starting with us in kindergarten and moving through the lower school. We have 2 classes per grade level, and we aim to have about 15 or 16 students in each homeroom class, and we have grades K through 4 in the lower school building. We use those early school years to serve as a springboard for development in our lower school. So that solid foundation of knowledge, skill, and understanding, we use that and capitalize on the strengths that the students bring and look for opportunities to continue to help kids grow and develop. So as the students come through the lower school, we challenge them to develop their age-appropriate academic skills, to become independent thinkers and doers, and really advocate for their needs and interests. Our teachers implement a wide variety of curricula in various subject areas, and by creating a really nurturing learning environment, our students are really able to develop to their fullest potential. As you heard in the video, we utilize a workshop model in our lower school classrooms in our 4 subject areas. So teachers deliver a short targeted mini lesson that's appropriate for all learners. And then those students take what they learn in those mini lessons and go off to do some practice on their own in small groups with peers or one-on-one with a teacher. Our teachers are always observing and conducting informal assessments so that they can really identify a student's strengths and ongoing opportunities for growth. And this targeted assessment, observation, and instruction really fuels individual learning. And so through these different interactions in the classroom, students are able to get their academic needs met, but also feel seen, known, loved, and challenged in really positive ways. We also participate in special area classes, which again, you heard mentioned in the video. Students participate in these and really helps them hone in on their interests and develop an even wider set of skills that will support them both when they're in school and outside of school. Most importantly, what we want is to develop confident leaders ready and prepared to follow their own path in middle school and beyond. And so we work to develop students' confidence, their self-efficacy, their grit, all strong leadership traits through ongoing character work in the classroom. And we know that when we send our fourth graders on to middle school for fifth grade, that they have already established a love for learning that we hope will last them a lifetime.
Morning, everyone. Thanks for being with us. Our middle school at Charlotte Prep is grades 5 through 8. Similar to the lower school, we have 2 sections per grade, and each section will have anywhere from 15 to 18 students. So let's just say that half of the 6th grade will be in math class, while the other half will be in social studies, and they'll rotate through like that. We understand that the middle school years are a time of such mammoth growth academically, socially, emotionally, and we really want to shepherd our students through this time of growth. And adolescence isn't easy anywhere, but we want to make it so that we're understanding these adolescents and growing them as students and growing them as people. When we receive students in 5th grade, although they're in middle school, they are not quite middle school ready. Everything is quite different, from multiple teachers and changing classes and understanding schedules. And we know that we're getting, in 5th grade, we're getting 4th graders. And so we don't think of middle school as being such a large step. Rather, we want to make it a ramp. And as they progress up this ramp, they get better with their organization, they get better with their advocacy skills, they get better with their leadership skills, they get better with their communication skills, so that as they go on through 5th to 6th to 7th to 8th grade, and they continue to grow, they continue to reflect, they get more and more capable, so that by the time comes and they are our 8th grade graduates and they walk across that stage, they are prepared to go and succeed in the environment that they choose next for high school, be that public, be that private, be that boarding, because they have a huge amount of self-knowledge as to who they are and what they need to succeed. Through it all in our academic program, whether it's in our core classes of social studies and Spanish and math and science and English, or in our specialty classes, music, art, drama, technology, students are getting the most out of those classes by being with the teacher, working with their teachers, working with their peers to really develop the skills that they need, and also the individual skills, whether it's a choice book for English or whether it's a choice project for social studies, really working on what interests them to develop their love of learning, so that when they go on and become stronger and more independent in high school and beyond, they know what they're looking for and they know how to go get it. We're proud of our Charlotte Prep graduates because we know that they've progressed through our middle school to become the best students and people that they can be.
Thank you, Evan. Next, I'd like to ask Sharina to talk a little bit about her role as Director of Community Life and how she weaves in to the program, even starting with our youngest charges in the early school all the way through lower and then middle school.
Good morning, everybody. Thanks for joining us today. As Vicki mentioned, I am the Director of Community Life, and my role is mostly focused on helping all of us here in the Charlotte Prep family really try to be our true selves on and off campus, and to be representative of how the world really looks and feels, to include others, to promote diversity, to make sure that we're all having equal and fair opportunities to pursue the things that each of us love to do and love to learn. So we refer to this as diversity, equity, and inclusion here, or DEI. If we want a thriving community, we have to really invest in and celebrate all the wonderful things that make life here very diverse. And to that extent, Charlotte Prep has a student body that represents so many backgrounds, cultures and languages, learning approaches, perspectives and spirits. One of the wonderful things about selecting a small community-centric school is it helps children thrive in a peaceful and welcoming environment, but also that as students progress through our K-8 program, they'll really get up close and personal with more diversity and inclusive practices that are embedded in our curriculum, the environment around them, in their conversations, as they seek to start to define their own identities in school and also in the greater community. So our leadership, administration, staff and faculty, we're all continually working to affirm those identities and also to learn from each other. I work with a DEI committee on campus that represents faculty, staff, and students, as well as a board level DEI committee. And together we are working on diversity initiatives, conversation starters, workshops, trainings, and ultimately strategic ways to ensure that we include all voices, backgrounds, and perspectives as we pursue excellence in education here. And while we do celebrate cultures and history, DEI work really goes much deeper. Our mission is ultimately to prepare our community for what lies beyond these halls. And as your children grow and mature at Charlotte Prep, they'll be encouraged to take ownership of their future through leadership, creativity, and importantly, empathy. So we're working across our divisions to roll out materials and lessons related to cultural competency and foster dialogue in our adult community as well to do the same. And as the children progress, they'll have occasions to engage in service and connect with their larger communities. So ultimately, when they graduate, they'll have the confidence, as my colleagues already mentioned, they'll have that confidence to engage their new peers because they'll have been exposed to and developed respect for multiple perspectives. So we're really trying to prepare them for a wider horizon, but ultimately deeper connections with people, places, and ideas. Also, the Charlotte Preparatory, families, all of our families together consistently support our pursuit of equity and resources, opportunity, and experience. So your involvement ultimately is also helping us to keep on reinforcing that path that all of our Charlotte Prep students are on. And so really together we're striving for a truly inclusive community. Thank you.
Thanks, Sharina. So next I'm going to scoot over to Wendy Teal, our parent, and let's hear from Wendy about her experience here at Charlotte Prep, her children's experience just with the school, the community, and life at Prep. Thanks, Wendy.
Thank you. I am super honored to be able to kind of present my viewpoint of Prep. We've been here for 10 years. It's a long time. It goes really fast. Vicki and I were just talking about how I remember our tour that we came to Prep before my oldest, who's in 8th grade now, was going into TK. And I actually didn't really know anything about the school or anything about private schools in Charlotte at the time, but the tour itself was, it kind of sold the school just because the community, it's amazing, and we can say it over and over again, but it really is. It's such a great community. And we also, had a tour with one of the middle school students, which we were just amazed that it was just a middle school student because they did such a great job. And that is really kind of the K-8 model that we had never experienced before, myself and my husband. So we were just really enthralled with the idea of an 8th grader being able to take on that responsibility. But, starting through the early school, we have seen that progression. We've seen kids, they work together starting in the early school in the Montessori classrooms. They have an opportunity to do teamwork, but also teach each other, which is kind of, it's a stepping stone for really the middle school or the lower school and the middle school as well. So, they love to learn, and that kind of carries on throughout the entire school. So I've just been just amazed at not watching only my children progress through the different schools, but also like Sahar's daughter is also in my oldest son's class, but just being able to watch all of these kids change and become more confident and really develop themselves, and a little bit of anxiety about high school for my oldest next year, but just knowing how confident and comfortable he is with himself, just from developing through Prep and the support of the teachers and all of the other parents and the students, of course, I feel somewhat confident that he will be okay. He's a boy, so I always have that uncertainty, but just knowing that that he has that base. He's so comfortable at prep, and he's just confident in himself that he'll be able to carry that more comfortably into high school. And then, I have my 2 children are so extremely different from each other, but the school has really, I don't know how they do it, but they have really kind of embraced both of them and have really met them where they need to be. And I've heard, just hearing from everybody today, it's true. All of what they say is true. One of the other things that I love about prep is the buddy program, which is when the younger students are paired up with an older student. So I've kind of seen that progression where my kids were the younger kids, and now they're the older mentor buddies. And I think it's a great opportunity for the kids to be able to work together, for the younger kids to have a mentor in the upper school, I'm totally getting lost, lower school. And then to switch it to allow them to be able to take that leadership role. It's been a great ride. We've got a couple years left with my younger son, but it has been such a wonderful experience, and I can't say enough about it. So I'm thankful and happy to answer any questions, and I will, anything I can do to help would be my pleasure. So thank you.
Thank you, Wendy. And I just have to give kudos to Wendy because she's got 2 really remarkable young men that we've watched actually grow up here. And they drive about, 50 minutes one way to and from the school each day. And I just feel like that's just such a commitment. And I know when you find the right school, you will make that commitment and make things happen for your children. But I think we feel very honored that you chose Charlotte Prep too. Next, I'd like to pivot to Chris. And Chris, I was just wondering if you would speak a little bit to our pandemic response, how we've pivoted, and then also just how you see things going forward here at Charlotte Prep.
Thanks, Vicki. Well, back in August, when we started the school year, we offered our parents the choice of sending their children back to campus in person for in-person learning or to choose remote learning. And the vast majority of our parents were very, very happy to send their children back to school. And we instituted a very comprehensive safety plan that was overseen by a crisis response team. We do daily temperature checks. We have students in pods and teachers travel to those pods. We maintain 6 feet of social distance. And the net result of all of those efforts are that we've had 0 cases of coronavirus to date. And we're back learning on campus with most of our families. We have just a few left who are doing the remote learning, but it's been a real success, and it's been an incredible effort by all members of our community. As we continue to live with and learn from how this pandemic is evolving, we promise to be nimble and responsive and do the right things to make sure we create the conditions for the health and safety of all members of our community. So with that said, it's certainly a challenging and interesting year, and certainly an interesting year to be a new head of school during a pandemic, but I've been so impressed by the response of this community. I do believe that adversity reveals character, and the character of this school has proven to be incredible, supportive, courageous, kind, compassionate. So we're really showing our true colors throughout this ordeal, and coming out of it, I think, a much stronger school.
Thank you, Chris. I'm going to talk a little bit about the admissions process, and then we will open up the Q&A for your questions and respond to that. But in terms of the admissions process, if you decide that you want to apply, and we hope that you do, it's all online. You just go to our website under the admissions tab and you can apply online. There's a $90 application fee for the students that you're applying for. And also within that application, there will be a field where you will put the current teacher's email. And when they submit when you submit the application, they will automatically receive a teacher recommendation form that they can easily complete online. We are also looking for testing, and depending on the age level or the applicant level that your child's applying to, that testing can look a little different. For our kindergarten through 4th grade, the lower school students, we use outside psychologists to administer something called the WIPSI or the WISC, depending on their age level. And there is a brochure on our website that you can click that link and open it up. And on page 5, there's a whole list of psychologists that you can call and reach out to try and schedule an appointment for that testing. For the middle school students, it's a test called the IC, or the Independent School Entrance Exam. We do offer that test here for applicants to our school. We're going to be offering it on January the 23rd. If you would like for your student to sit for that exam here at Charlotte Prep, please reach out to us and we will share the code with you for getting your student registered to take that test. It's a Saturday morning. It takes most of the morning, and it's a pretty straightforward, standardized test where they bubble in the answers on the little answer sheet. We will also schedule your student for a student visit. We are hopeful, and we think we are going to be able to accommodate some one-on-one visits, particularly with our younger students that are applying to the school. That would be a short visit with a teacher. If we are unable to do that, we have been doing virtual in some instances, but right now we're hopeful to be able to offer some one-on-one short visits with students just to really get to know them and assess where they are in terms of their academics. So transcripts for the older students, those would be from their current schools. For the process of admissions, we can use the last 2 years of their report cards as well. And we are here, we're going to help you, Sahir and I, once we receive an application, we're going to shepherd you through this process, and you can also monitor it on your actual portal for your application as to when we've received these items. So I know it can seem like a lot of steps, but we're here to help you so it's not totally mystifying. And then we do notify of placement for our kindergarten and early school families. We notify of placement on Friday, February the 26th, via email sent at 4 o'clock in the afternoon. And then those families would have the chance to respond to us by Friday, March 5th, at noon, to let us know that they are taking that space. For 1st grade through 8th grade families, we notify at the end of March 26th, and you have until April 1st to let us know if you will take that space. So again, the process is pretty straightforward, and we are available to answer questions that you might have about that. So now I'm going to open it up to, I think, Sahir, you've been fielding some questions that have come in.
Yeah, so we have a couple people who asked a little bit more about the transition from the early school to the lower school and how the workshop method translates from the Montessori to the lower school environment. So I will ask Sharon and Mimi if they can field that question for us.
Hi. During their 3 years in the, or 2 to 3 years in the Montessori primary cycle, the children are really learning about how to make selections, how to make choices, and how to have what's called a work cycle, something where they can choose an activity, work through it, problem solve it on their own, get some guidance from the teachers, and then they can put it back where they found it and move on to the next choice. So that ability to make choices independently, along with just practicing and growing their concentration and putting together a really solid foundation of skills helps them as they transition into the lower school. So when they go to the lower school, there is still a lot of movement in the classroom. There's still a lot of self-selection in the classroom, and then a lot of individual and small group work that's done in the classroom in the lower school. The biggest difference you might find is that in the Montessori early school classroom, the children are choosing their subject areas and their materials throughout a large open-ended work cycle and choosing with guidance from the teacher so that they hit all of the areas. And the bigger difference in the lower school is that their subject areas are in time blocks. And I'll turn it over to Mimi to kind of continue that, that description.
Yeah, that's exactly right, Sharon. So the major difference is that we have, more of a scheduled day. So we have a set time for readers workshop, writers workshop, math workshop, and so on. But within each of those workshop periods, like I mentioned, the mini lesson is short and sweet, which kind of is similar to a lesson that a child in the Montessori classroom might receive from their teacher. That's typically done one-on-one or 1-to-2 with the teacher in the Montessori classroom. The difference in the lower school classroom is that it's delivered to all students, but then when students go off during that independent work time, they are responsible for making choices about how they are going to practice, refine, apply their knowledge. And also during that time, there are opportunities for them to work with a teacher one-on-one, so to get an even more targeted lesson that really meets their needs and is going to help them develop and grow. They have opportunities to work with peers so that they are either learning from or teaching their peers. And so those are very similar to what you'll see in the Montessori classroom as well. So there are a lot of similarities. What we find is that when our early school students come to us, either in kindergarten or first grade, orienting to the classroom is the biggest difference, just because the shelves are different. The structure of the day is a little bit different, but what we find is that our students really make that transition within the same time frame as our students who are moving up from kindergarten to first grade or coming into us in kindergarten from outside preschool. So we find that, everybody kind of, again, is on their own path, but they make that transition within the same time frame, and they really thrive when they get here to the lower school.
The question is about foreign language and when we start that and what we offer in terms of foreign language. So Sharon, if you want to just touch on what you do in the early school and move on from there.
Sure. We do expose the children to multiple languages through our cultural studies units, and sometimes they learn little basic vocabulary when we study different countries around the world. But we do start Spanish lessons with the TK and Montessori K children, and we have our own teacher here on staff who is a native Spanish speaker, and she also teaches small group lessons to the children weekly as they begin to develop a Spanish vocabulary that continues on in the lower school.
Yeah, we continue on with Spanish. Spanish is the language that we instruct our children in the lower school. Our lower school Spanish teacher is a native Spanish speaker, and she sees each homeroom 2 times during our 6-day cycle, so almost 2 times weekly for 45 minutes. She helps the students to develop a strong and rich vocabulary, does a lot of conversational work in the early years in the lower school, and then as they move up to 3rd and 4th grade, they get more into not only conversation and really formulating full sentences, but also doing a little bit of the written work that goes along with it to prepare them for Spanish in middle school, which then becomes one of the core subjects.
Thanks, Mimi. Middle school Spanish is a core subject. It becomes not a special anymore, so they will have classwork and homework. And Spanish in the middle school progresses up. We are preparing students when they leave 8th grade to go into high school Spanish. Some of them even leave with high school Spanish credit, focusing on reading and writing and speaking and listening and culture. So trying to get all 5 of those pieces incorporated into the Spanish language so that they can understand not only what they're speaking and why they're speaking and what they're listening to, but also all of the countries and cultures around the world so that they get the broader perspective of how they can use their Spanish going forward.
Thanks, Evan. And one more for you around high school and where most of our students place. So if you could just touch on the high school placement process and where we've historically seen our students go and succeed.
Sure. Regardless of where our students go, we really get a lot of feedback that they are adding to the campuses where they are, which is really the neatest thing for us to hear. We begin our high school process in the latter part of 7th grade, where we have family meetings to discuss the fact that the high school process is going to happen sort of over the course of 8th grade. For students, it begins with a leadership class taught by our head of school, where they start to explore who they are and what they're looking for in terms of best fit high school. We meet with families individually, Mr. Marble, myself, and our head of high school placement, to discuss with families what they're looking for in a high school so that everybody can come together. When they apply to different schools and there's an interview process, I sit down with students and I conduct a practice interview so that when they go into their actual interview, they are ready to go to not only speak about what they're looking for, but speak about who they are and really have the admissions people get to know them. This culminates with independent schools and boarding schools where we will either meet if they're local or spend time on the telephone if they're not, to really discuss each student and fill in all of the grades and recommendations and all the other things, but to make sure that they're getting the full story about who our students are. When we have students who decide to go to public school, we also take time with them because they're going to an environment where they're going to need to, also be advocates for themselves, and we want to help them wherever they land and wherever they go to get on the ground and to hit the ground running. In terms of where most students go, it varies from year to year in terms of whether students are going to independent or parochial or public or boarding school. Boarding school usually tends to be 2 to 3 a year. Somewhere around 2/3 tend to look at private schools beyond 8th grade, with the others going to their local public school. But as I said, those numbers tend to fluctuate year to year.
Thank you. And then we have another question about enrichments like fine arts, athletics, things like that. So if since you're on, Evan, if you want
Sure.
to just talk about athletics in middle school, and then we can roll it over to fine arts in middle and lower to Mimi as well.
Sure. So athletics in the middle school, as I said in the video, we incorporate students grades 5 through 8 to come and try out. This is different than a lot of our other schools in the fact that normally there's 7th and 8th grade teams and things like that. But we believe that having all those students together really builds our community and really builds the sense of playing for the team. As you play for year after year, you start out as being one of the younger, less experienced students, and you then move up to be one of the more experienced students, and you get this really neat team mentorship that happens, and it's a really, really neat experience. In terms of athletics, we offer soccer and basketball and golf and tennis throughout the different seasons. And we, participate with local schools. We'll get on buses and play away games. It's neat for kids to go out there and participate with Charlotte Prep on their uniform and just be proud to be Tigers on that field or on that court.
Thanks, Evan. And Mimi, did you maybe want to talk about fine arts and all of the other specials that they start having once they're in the lower school?
Sure. In the lower school, as I mentioned, students they participate in 7 different special area classes, some more than once per cycle. And so, they are involved in PE where they're developing skills and also given opportunity to apply those skills in more gameplay. In Spanish, as we mentioned, they're developing vocabulary, engaging in conversation, and beginning to read and write in Spanish language. In the fine arts, our students engage in drama and music, and those 2 specialty areas, including art, really work together. Typically, our students participate in at least 1 performance per year as part of just the curriculum program, where they're singing, they help create set pieces, they're developing speaking skills, and they do this during their classwork and their time with their teachers. As far as STEM and technology, our students begin using devices, primarily Chromebooks, in their technology classes, starting in kindergarten, learning those basic skills and navigating the web, but also learning great digital citizenship principles for themselves. And then in STEM, it truly embraces that STEM mentality where we're focused on, learning and applying scientific knowledge, learning about technology and going through the engineering process, and bringing in other pieces of the curriculum, including math, social studies, things that they're learning in different core subject areas in their homeroom. So it's a really integrated approach there. Outside of kind of what is part of the school day, we offer studios for our students after school and lower school. And that is always arranged. There's a fall season and a spring season, and that can be fine arts classes, cooking classes, athletics clubs, music. And so there's a wide variety, and we really try to pick things that our students are interested in. We've even had outside programs like Girls on the Run and Let Me Run for our young boys who are interested in not only that kind of running and that team building, but also that character development as well. So there's lots of opportunities for students to be exposed and engage in lots of different specialty areas, and start to hone in on what their personal interests are as they head into middle school.
Thank you, Mimi. One last question, just in terms of discipline and how we have our honor code, our 4 pillars. Maybe you can speak a little bit about the discipline process.
Yeah, we use an approach where we really want to help students be aware of the actions and choices that they're making, and when they choose one that is not the best or the most positive, we really want them to learn from that, reflect on their choices, and set expectations for themselves so that they can make more positive choices in the future. We really like to try to help redirect students and again assess the choices that they're making so that they can make more positive choices in the future. And we find with that approach, we have very few true discipline issues here in the lower school. And when necessary, we really, work with parents and work as a team to support students so that they can develop positive behavior and habits.
We work fairly similarly here in the middle school, where we want to work with students individually to get them to understand their choices and the decisions, but also really follow through. How does those actions, their decisions, have consequences and ripple effects throughout the entire community? Because as we work here as individuals, we also really importantly work together as a middle school community and as a Charlotte Prep community. And so when those actions affect some, they affect all. And we want our students to be really thoughtful of their place and their effect that they have on their peers and on the entire community, so that as they go forward and they make better decisions, it has real depth of meaning. They're not making better decisions because they don't want to get in trouble. They're making better decisions because they know why they're better and how they relate to not only them, but everyone around them.
I'm going to pass it back over to Vicki now just to wrap us up.
All right, so we are we are a little bit over our hour, and we want to be respectful of your time. We are so grateful that you took the time to spend with us this morning. As I mentioned earlier, we will get that video out to you, and we're sorry that it wasn't streaming well for some of you. And if you are interested in taking a tour, Sahara and I are, scheduling some individual tours. We're asking that children do not attend for these tours. This would just be for the parent. We will be practicing our safety protocols during this tour. So just reach out to us if you want to get on campus. There is also a tour overview on our website and the admissions portal that you can get an overview of what the school looked like under more normal circumstances, not COVID circumstances. But again, if we did not get to your questions this morning, we will follow up with you shortly. And we thank you so very much for spending this time with us and getting to know us. And we hope to see you and your children here on our campus soon. Take care and have a great day. Bye.